Então, sem mais delongas, vamos começar. Victoria, o palco virtual é todo seu. Thank you very much for joining us again. Sorry to speak Portuguese, but all the audience are Brazilians. But I think they can follow you in English. Thank you again for joining us. And okay, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. Hi everyone, I'm Victoria Umbaldo for Lima, Peru. Let me check, I share my screen. Let me a second. Okay, my screen is sharing, right? Yeah, okay. Hi everyone, my name is Victoria and today I'm going to talk about TensorFlow Overview. Well, some about me, I'm from Peru. Actually, I'm doing a master from computer science at Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú. I'm a computer and system engineer. I'm data analyst and one of the most important banks here in Lima called Interbank. I really enjoy mentoring, illustrate, and dancing. And I'm for part of Women Tastemakers Ambassadors here in Lima and co-organizer from GDG Cloud Lima. So, okay, let's start. What you will see today? Today I'm going to do some introduction about machine learning. So why is important TensorFlow in machine learning? And then some resources you can learn more about that. Okay. So let's start. Talk about learning. For example, I give you that's application. Create a system that recognizes activities to monitor physical condition, give you speeds. In traditional programming, for example, if I give you that imagine, for example, the code could be if speed is less than 4, the status is walking, right? For example, if it's 3, the status is walking and it's okay. Then, if the imagine is this, is other condition. If the first condition is not right, the second if else, status is running. And then the rules, if the speed is less than 4, is walking at if not right, speed if less than 12, status is running, and the imagine is a person who is biking, is mount a circle. The status is biking. And then this imagine is a person with playing golf. So what code could be? So could be more if, else, the while, etc. And this is a traditional programming. We use roles like in if, else, other conditionals. We use data in the input. The example was the speed. And the answer will be, okay, the label, if running, is cycle, etc. In machine learning, we use the input like the answers, the label. We have the data, and the output, we have the rules, the conditions. So in computing, the imagine is in bytes, ones and zeros, and that is the labels. So yeah, so to check, the answer and data is the inputs and the roles is the outputs. And that is the model. The model machine learning is when you have the input, the data, for example, images, text, calls, all the non-relational data, for example. And what the output is a prediction. Could be a prediction about imagine is a dog or a cat, or some example about predictions. So machine learning is programming with data. That is okay. If you know more about advantage of machine learning, don't worry. It's other point of view to understand what is machine learning. So why is important here in TensorFlow? TensorFlow is a machine learning library created by Google and it's open source. It's useful with projects in deep learning and machine learning, and is more common in research and production. So why TensorFlow? TensorFlow give you end-to-end platforms that makes it easy to build, deploy machine learning projects. Is useful to developers, enterprise, and researchers who want to push the state of the art of machine learning and build scalable machine learning powered applications. So let's talk about why TensorFlow. So first, easily model building. TensorFlow use Keras. Keras is an API to help you to build machine learning algorithms or models more easily. And if you have a large machine learning training task, you can use distribution strategy API to build training these kind of models. In TensorFlow, we use Python for language program. This is that for you can import TensorFlow in your projects, and you can call Keras to use the API. Okay, next, rich collection of tools for building models. One of my favorite tools in TensorFlow is Google Collab. Google Collab is not either. It's a platform you can create notebooks like a Jupyter notebook, and you can enter code like Python and R also. Sorry. That tools could help you to all the data process you manage in your project. For example, data preprocessing, ingestion, model evaluation, visualization, and serving. Google Colab help you for data preprocessing, cleaning the data, training the model. TensorFlow Research Cloud accelerate your cutting-edge machine learning research with free cloud TPUs. And TensorFlow Board provides the visualization and toolings need to machine learning experimentation. Is a visualization toolkit. TensorFlow Standards is an end-to-end platform for deploying production machine learning pipelines. And TensorFlow Playground is when you want to check how a neural network is working. Okay, try and deploy your model anywhere with TensorFlow. That's my favorite part, because some developers or researchers create a model and only stay in a paper or an investigation, and that's all. For the next step in a project for machine learning is deploy this machine learning in some physical, like a mobile phone or in a browser. So TensorFlow gives you two options. if you want to extend your project in Android or iOS application, you can use TensorFlow Lite. And if you feel more comfortable in the front-end side, you can use TensorFlow Js. For example, in TensorFlow Lite, I use the Google Collab called Recognize Flowers with TensorFlow Lite on Android. When you use your phone to take a photo of images of flowers and recognize what kind of flower is. Internal, use the model created by TensorFlow, and that is the result. It's like a good example to start trying TensorFlow Lite with Android. And the next example is TensorFlow Js. In TensorFlow Js, you can use JavaScript to different projects in the browser. For example, Teachable Machine is a fun application when you enter different images, sounds, and poses and train the model. And then when you enter new images or sounds, then the model is learning what the data you enter. So it's very interesting. And also it's built with JavaScript and the library of TensorFlow JS. Okay, this is the infrastructure. Sometimes we use only the local Jupyter notebook and my model. For example, I created a random forest model, and it's okay for 100 registers or rows in my CSV. But if you want to scale this project, you need more memory, you need more capability of processing this data. For that, TensorFlow gives you options like, for example, you change the CPU to GPU, or you can scale these GPUs to TPUs. And that is an example. For example, in the right side, this is a graph of neural networks in terms of prediction for seconds. For example, in the convolutional neural network, if you only use one neural networks, give you 1 second. But if you need more than 10 or 20, for example, more than 50 neural network, is more effective to use TPUs. Okay, power for experimentation. Applying state-of-the-art machine learning models. Actually, for TensorFlow, you can find different projects in research, like a diagnosis of diabetic retinopathy, helping rural farmers predict extreme weather conditions. And also, actually, for the context of COVID, you can find different ideas to use TensorFlow. For example, to detect if a person is using a mask or not, if the person could be have flu or not, for different places, for example, in the airports, before the person enter a plane. So with TensorFlow and all the capabilities I mentioned, you can have the different tools to make real these kind of projects. And also the community. The community is very important. So, for example, the event we have today is open and diverse, gives TensorFlow gives us a roadmap to have a vision to this machine learning platform for everyone. And that is the reason you can find different kind of user case in the page of TensorFlow. And if you want to have part of one of the communities, this is the link, the tensorflow.org/communities/groups. So for the summary could be two parts. The training, when you build model, when we have to collect the data, normalized or data structured or not structured, SQL or no SQL, and you use you need to use data sets or keras estimator, and that if you need to distribute your data in a scale, you can use CPUs, GPUs, or TPUs. If you need to analyze that model in this training, you can use TensorFlow board. Then, to serialize the model, you can use saved model. And also, TensorFlow have a repository called TensorFlow Hub. For deployment, you can use Cloud from TensorFlow Serving. And also two options if you want to go to Android, iOS, or Raspberry Pi, you use TensorFlow Lite. If you like front-end things, you can use TensorFlow Js. So that is the resources, the official page of TensorFlow, the official channel on TensorFlow, the links of TensorFlow Lite or TensorFlow Js. Yes, and that's all. Thank you so much for watching.
Good. Thank you, Victoria. Very nice introduction about TensorFlow. I think it's good for the people see how the examples and tools that you have in general inside the TensorFlow. Thank you again. So now